Any road followed precisely to its end leads precisely nowhere. Climb the mountain just a little bit to test that it's a mountain. From the top of the mountain, you cannot see the mountain. Frank Herbert, Dune.
Hey there, Nomads of Lore. I'm Sean.
And I'm Jonathan.
And together we are Mead and Mischief, your home away from no home.
No home at all.
Not anyone. Well, we watched Dune.
We did.
And, well, we won't tell you quite at this second whether we liked it or not. We'll get into that in a minute because this is going to be our spoiler-free review of the film. So it's been out for a few days now. Right now, it is, as of today, it is Tuesday, and it came out last Friday, so you do the math. We're going to dive in. We're going to do this one a little bit different than the way we've done some reviews in the past. We're going to kind of do it categorical and topical, but it'll make sense as we go. We'll put time codes down at the bottom so that you can follow along, and if you want to skip to parts that you care about or are interested in, then you can do that.
Awesome. To begin with, we're going to discuss the visuals and the cinematography of the film. So what were your thoughts?
Lots of thoughts in this category. This film, so the first thing that I want to note with the visuals and cinematography is we've of course, well, I don't know about of course, I think this is on HBO Max, but we did watch this in theaters, and my strong recommendation is that if you can and you feel safe watching it in theaters right now, absolutely do that, because it is way worth watching in theaters, especially because of this visuals and cinematography, and we'll talk about the audio later as well. But the scale of this film was enormous, and it feels huge. You get these amazing establishing shots with these huge buildings and these huge sand crawlers, the spice harvesters. That we'll talk about later, but the sand crawlers were inspired by. But so that's the first thing is the scale was huge, and it was epic, and it felt big, and it felt really cool. They also, and this is really cool. So the director, Denis Villeneuve, I think that's close to how you pronounce it, or maybe spot on, who knows? But French and all. Which we clearly are not.
No.
We're from West Texas. But anyway, he is also phenomenal.
Was that your West Texas accent? Sorry.
That's a exaggerated, hyperbolized West Texas accent.
All right.
That's how I talk on a day-to-day basis.
Okay.
No, just kidding. But I do say "ol." And y'all. But he is also, so he's does a phenomenal job of these huge shots that give us a real sense of scale and how big some of these machines are and all of those things. But then he's also super great at these smaller scenes and just the visualization, the feel of some of these small, like the Golden Jabbar scene in particular, and several other smaller scenes where you also get these amazing shots with, and we're going to talk about actors and actresses soon, and so that's a big part of those things. But the feel and the way the lighting is done, and the way, which I know is not just him, but that's also his photographer or whatever they call it in these shots. But it just does a phenomenal job of having you feel a certain way in these scenes. And so I thought the visuals were absolutely stellar. The one scene that felt a little bit wonky, in my opinion, was the scene, and like I said, we're doing this spoiler free, so that none of the things we're going to share are going to be like spoil the plot or anything. But we may, as you can tell, reference scenes, but we'll try to spoil plot and major things and twists and turns and things. But anyway, the scene where the Duke Leto and his family and all of the Atreides and the people on Caladan are there, and the herald from the Emperor shows up. I don't know whether it was the lighting felt weird. It felt almost cheap, and I think it was a lot to do with the lighting. That one scene I didn't really like as much. It felt out of place, and it felt and I don't know whether it was just trying to convey formality or what, but it felt out of place in the film, in my opinion. But that's the only real critique I have with visuals.
I can see that.
But
I really enjoy it, and I talk about color a lot. That's probably because I'm an artist, but the color in this. You would think when you're thinking about Dune, I'm going to go watch Dune. It's a sand movie, right? So
Right.
all we're going to see is orangey brownishness.
Right.
It was not that way, and they did a phenomenal job of the lighting for the and the colors, the costuming. There was some really, really good stuff. You know that there's nothing that's original anymore. That's been
Right.
said many times, but some of the costumes were really cool and really like. There's some specific like the mentat. I don't think that word was even used in the
No,
film.
I don't think it was either.
But there's very specific things that they do in the costuming and the visuals to let you know that something's special about a character.
Absolutely.
And kind of almost hints to this underground thing that
Yes,
only the
there's
book
something
people
going
knows
on.
about.
Right.
Yeah, but everybody kind of maybe gets a little hint. Anyway, I enjoyed that as far as
Absolutely.
visuals are concerned. The I didn't really have any scenes. I did have there's a scene, and I won't say what's happening, but there's just some explosions happening, and I felt that they were a little
Rushed or disjointed or
too explosion-y, too much. I don't know how to explain it. It was like it was a little.
It was chaotic, feeling fire
Yeah,
everywhere.
yeah,
Kind of,
yeah, and it
couldn't
almost
tell.
felt. I'm not one to say James Cameron. That's not who I'm thinking. Who's
Michael
Bay?
Michael Bay, yeah.
Yeah, Michael Bay. It felt almost Michael Bay-ish. Not. It was still tasteful, and they looked good. But anyway, it just that one scene there was just a little too much for me.
One thing I didn't even mention was the vehicles and some of those things, which were stunning. And
Yeah.
they felt, even in this day and age of nothing new under the sun, and I know a lot of things have been influenced by Dune, of course, but they felt unique. Like
Yes.
the ornithopters in particular, one of the big things is the dragonfly-esque, but
dragonfly
still
thing.
kind of Apache helicopter.
No, that's what
Yeah.
I was gonna say about the those specific like they are the way they move and work and the dynamics of being able to turn off the blades and dive
Right.
and all the different things that they use.
Yeah.
There's some really cool stuff with all the vehicles. There was a larger ship at some point that I was looking at and I was thinking, this is like a video game ship. This is like something that somebody spent a lot of time in, and probably not really, but the way it was, it looked like somebody spent a lot of time putting a lot of detail for a shot that was 3 seconds long.
Oh,
You know what
yeah,
I mean? It
yeah.
was a really cool looking ship, and there was a lot of really cool stuff on it. Anyway,
Yeah.
visuals were just phenomenal.
Stunning.
The movie that we've watched recently that was also similar. This is the 2040
Blade Runner,
Blade
2049,
Runner
yeah.
2049.
Also has epic
And
scale.
if you did watch that, you're gonna if you like the visuals in that, I think you're gonna enjoy this film as far as visually as well.
Even the original,
plot
honestly,
and
it's
yeah,
directed by a different person, but
yeah. But if you liked that grand scale, those colors, it's a very similar feeling movie in that aspect. There's so much difference, obviously, two different stories and
Very
all the
different,
things.
but-
But I'm just specifically saying he's got kind of a look almost, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah.
And it's a good
Directors
one.
tend to do that.
It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's really awesome.
So the next thing we're going to talk about is the characters, the actors, their portrayals, and all of those things. There's several things to talk about. The one that blew me away, and I'll mention this one and then let Jonathan start over from there, so I don't steal all the thunder on this category. But was Timothy Chalamet, who played Paul Atreides, the main character. I've never seen him in anything else. I'm admittedly not a huge movie buff, so that's not saying much. But he was freaking phenomenal. If you've seen the old 1984 Dune, of course that one handled the internals and the way Paul was feeling through internal monologue, and this. You got just as much, if not more, of those internal things without that
the annoying
useless
internal monologue. Yes.
His acting in this film was super stellar.
Yeah.
It blew me away. So before I say anything else about actors and whatever else, what are your thoughts in this category?
No, I completely agree. I think, like you said, the I can't remember what the thing is called, but the box scene.
The Gom Jabbar scene.
Gom Jabbar, that scene definitely, like when we got there, and because anyway, when we got there and we were watching that, I was like, oh, this guy is, even though he looks really young, he's actually a little older than he looks.
Yeah.
But he looks really young. He's really good at his facial expressions and just emoting or conveying so much with just a look or the way his face is contorted or whatever.
Subtle and super intense.
Yeah.
Like that's both.
Agreed. Oscar Isaacs.
That one was a surprise.
It was extremely surprising because nothing against him as an actor or anything. If you like him,
especially
great.
At this point.
Yeah. But as far as Star Wars is concerned, I was not a huge fan. Yeah, he's just kind of a almost like rendition. Wannabe Han Solo. Exactly. And it wasn't it. He was a decent fit for that. I don't think it was, and partly writing, whatever.
Who knows?
Who cares? Exactly. But in this movie,
seen him in that.
having only seen him in that, he did a phenomenal job. And really like you said, I thought too he was going to almost be too young to do this part.
Yeah.
But he does a phenomenal job. His acting's phenomenal. The look, the dress that they gave him, his presence, and
more a dress.
Yeah, exactly. But there's that's more story. I was about to go into storyline stuff, but there's just so much in him that I think he did like an amazing job.
Also in the Atreides household is Paul Atreides' mother, the Lady Jessica, who is, of course, the concubine of Duke Leto. It doesn't really go into the film about that. That's kind of a big deal, and that he doesn't marry her, and he says he should have at some point and whatever else. But that's not really. But anyway, she's played by Rebecca Ferguson in the film. And again, just like our first two, she does a phenomenal job. I'm super excited to see her in the sequel. I'm really excited to see her with. Well, I won't give any spoilers because we're going to try to keep this spoiler free even for this film, and that's kind of spoilery. But I'm really excited to see where her character goes. But what we've seen of her so far was really good, super subtle, and we get some poignant moments with her acting. She's really great. So she's really good.
We've got next we can talk about real quickly. Jason Momoa played
our one kind of critique.
Yeah. I mean, he played Jason Momoa.
Yeah, I
love him. He's
a phenomenal human, and
yeah. There's several things I've seen him in that I love him in, but he pretty much for the most part plays one character. There's a lot of really good actors that do one character, and he was that character in this movie. So
it kind of works for if he's going to play one character. I mean, Duncan Idaho is fine. I mean, it worked out. He got to have his awesome fighting scenes, and we get to see some awesome Jason Momoa fighting action, him kneeing a guy in the face, and whatever else.
So the Baron.
Yeah, so the Baron, played by Stellan Skarsgård, is again freaking phenomenal. I mean, he's a phenomenal actor. So I mean, there's the star power in this film is. I mean, we were saying before. That's what we were saying at the before we watched this film is with this cast, you almost can't miss, and luckily they did pull it off. And he does a phenomenal job. That character should have been played super creepy and super powerful and super dark and whatever, and he hit every beat, which wasn't just him, of course. It was directing, lighting, music, all the things together, but his portrayal was phenomenal. Super great. He's kind of our set up to be our villain of the films, and he's so far done really, really well. You can fix it.
And then of course we have Gurney, Josh Brolin. Phenomenal.
Thanos.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
without the weird beard, without the weird chin.
Weird chin beard. Chin weird. Yeah. Anyway, amazing actor as always. Plays the part of what's so good about this film is not just who was cast, but where those people were cast. And I think his character is it's a perfect example of that. He is cast in a really good character.
Absolutely.
Javier Bardem, one of my favorites. we didn't get to see a lot of him in the film. There's
yeah.
just a few scenes. There's a scene where, and this may be kind of a critique, not on him, but the movie, I don't know that it really spelled out the importance of water.
It did it subtly, like
Yeah,
it does
it
pretty
did.
much everything
It did.
else.
It did.
Yeah,
It just
but-
like at the end, I had to explain to my mother, why that spitting scene was so important.
Right.
They had a spitting scene. He spit on the table, and everybody's like, "What is he doing?" And then, anyway, great scene.
yeah.
Was done really, really well, and there's so much. Javier Bardem is really good about what we were talking about a little bit before. There's so much depth to
Yes.
him without him doing much. He's just good at that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Another side character, along with Javier Bardem's character, was played by Charlotte Rampling, and that is, of course, the Reverend Mother Mohiam. And it is a testament to how amazing of an actress she is, that she was able to portray so much with a veil on the entire time, pretty much, or entirely.
Yep.
And it's especially like that scene I mentioned earlier, the box scene, which is a famous Dune scene, of course, or you may have heard of it even if you don't follow Dune very well. It's that famous, but she's able to portray this super emotional, super impactful scene there with just her eyes, and that's it. And she's phenomenal. I'm excited to see more of her.
basically, cast was phenomenal. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. As expected. So next we're going to talk about
Hans
sound.
Zimmer.
Yeah. There's not even a need to announce what it's talking about. It's just
Yeah,
Hans Zimmer. Period.
exactly.
Sound engineering, and how good the sound was. So. If you can't tell, I think we're like 3 for 3, really good. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. It might have been a terrible movie. No, but anyway, sound engineering. What did you think? About it?
Again, watch it in the theaters.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Is the number one thing I had to say about the sound engineering. It was phenomenal. Hans Zimmer, everybody holds, including us, holds John Williams as like
The king.
as the GOAT. I hate that phrase, but still, and I would say that honestly, Hans Zimmer is as good as John Williams. Is very different, very very different. But all of the stuff he does, because he did not only the score but also some of the sound things that were involved, and it's just so. Again, we've hit this word several times, and that is subtlety. And there's so much subtle, and there's just things that are built all together to give you this feeling of dread, of fear, of wonder, of all of these things done. It's just flawless. So good. It's very, I mean, if you're like an only orchestral kind of a person, then it may or may not be kind of quite your fit. It may be a little bit synthy for you. It's not as synthy as like Blade Runner, but it's so if you're super turned off by anything not orchestral or something, then maybe. But other than that, it's completely and utterly flawless, I think.
Yeah.
Super good.
So for those of you that enjoyed Dark Knight, the Dark Knight music, Dark Knight movie is phenomenal too. But anyway, the music, Hans Zimmer did that as well, and I wanted to kind of make that comparison.
Christian Bale, right?
Yes, it's Christian Bale. He's the reason that movie was so good.
Anyway. I knew that would get his goad just a little
Okay,
bit.
sorry. Yes. Anyway, so there's like this kind of 2-note thing that he did. I kind of watched a deal a long time about it. 2-note thing he did on a cello to kind of give this really eerie sound when the Joker was on, and or when the Joker was about to do something, whatever.
Right.
And that same kind of like just off-putting tone is kind of multiplied by a bajillion throughout this movie. There's so many sequences that it's like, oh, everything's all happy, and then you hear this note, and it's like, oh, what's about to happen, or what's going on, and that's just you need to watch this in theater if you enjoy music or enjoy that sound,
visuals, or
any of that stuff. It's just so much better.
Super. Yeah, that's I saw a video, kind of a behind the scenes thing. I don't remember what it was, but talking about some of the I don't remember which sequence it was. It may have been part of the that Gom Jabbar scene or something else. I don't remember, but talking about him working on engineering these sounds, and then I think the person was saying, I drove his team crazy for a few weeks trying to get these.
I mean,
these
the sounds are so. What's so crazy to me is that a few notes, and this. I mean, I'm a music person. I love music, love art, whatever. But the fact that a few notes can make your stomach unsettled in a movie, even if it's not gross on screen or whatever, it's like you tie you up in knots and then it resolves and it's like, okay, everything's happy and there's butterflies. Okay, I'm good again, or whatever. And so anyway, it was done great. Amazingly well in this film.
So the last thing that we wanted to talk about is the plot and kind of review, and specifically, the plot. We're not doing a review of Dune by Frank Herbert, the book, so we're not reviewing the plot, not really, but we're kind of some ways that they handled the plot that were either follow the book really well or maybe deviated from the book a little bit in order to make this work on screens. For example, and a really great example of that is there's a scene in the film where we see the Lady Jessica and Paul sitting at this table, this breakfast scene, which is not in the book at all, but they used that scene to set up the idea of using the voice, and Lady Jessica teaching Paul how to use the voice, which is if you don't know, is kind of the Bene Gesserit, which are kind of these witches, whatever. Order, religious things,
magic
whatever.
People.
Anyway, that are happening in this universe. They can use this to kind of control people and kind of bend people to their will. Which consequently, and this is a cool thing that we wanted to mention as part of this story is kind of we're not the first person to mention this kind of full circle at all, but it's cool enough that it's fun enough, and we talk about Star Wars all the time, and that is we've kind of come full circle with this inspiration train, which is really kind of fun because it's well documented and well known that George Lucas totally completely ripped several ideas from Dune, one of which of course was the Force.
The mind trick.
Jedi mind trick, and that whatever, which is a straight rip of using the voice. Though, and now, and then he visualized that with the hand thing and whatever. And then of course
which I'm just going to say the Dune version of the mind trick is so much better.
Oh yeah, so much more impactful.
It's so much more impactful. I'm a huge Star Wars fan.
Absolutely.
Huge. But it is it's so much more impactful.
Oh yeah.
It's the mind trick's kind of, it's just the wave of the hand or whatever. It's kind of, whoa, my mind is so weak. I'm whatever. This is,
it's played almost more for comedy. Yeah. This you feel it in the way it's shot and the way the sound works. You almost feel like you're being controlled.
Like, what's going on?
And there's a scene where Paul is the Mohiam, the Reverend Mother takes and uses it on him, and the way it's shot with the way the camera moves but keeps the focus the same, and so you're kind of moving through this weird focus and it kind of fades to black, and then he's all of a sudden over there. You feel like you feel it palpably, this thing happening, and
drawing.
So that so that's taken, and then of course the sand crawlers were also a direct pull from the Spice Harvesters, and arguably, even though they do look and feel different, you see some visual similarities to the way they were visualized in Star Wars, and so we get this kind of cool little inspiration inception thing where we get this full circle coming back to do several things, and part of that could be time and budget and everything else maybe, but we get the original inspiration coming back, and it's really, really cool. We get some of these things that are happening. There are lots of scenes that are shot exactly from the book and really, really well done.
One small critique I would make is when it comes to Paul and being the chosen one, I felt like the film kind of rushed that and forced it really quickly. Repeated very fast. So within 10 minutes of the film, you're like, oh, he's the chosen one. And okay, yeah. And the book does...
Why is he the chosen one? Because he's the main character.
Exactly. But it was good, but and things that I did like along that same frame of mind, I guess, is that there were things left in from the book that gave you reason, like the prophecies being fulfilled throughout different little subtle things that people were saying, like
pulled straight from the book. Much,
exactly,
which is great.
Oh, how did you know how to do that? Because you're, and then they would say the line of, he will come and know the people around, or know the customs without, as if he were
little religious mantras,
as if he were born here, or whatever the quote is, and there's lots of that kind of flourish throughout, and I wish they kind of would have left it to just those things telling that he's the chosen one, instead of forcing it so quickly. Anyway, that's my one critique. But
the dreams and foreshadowing things felt overdone. And they were using them, several of them, for specific purpose that's obvious. Like the one where there's all this fire, and the Gom Jabbar is supposed to be feeling like it's supposed to make you feel that way, and so they were using it, but in doing that, it felt a little bit overdone, and which I totally agree with. The one thing, staying on the same vein with the chosen one trope, that's a big deal with Dune is this whole chosen one trope and whatever else. One thing that I was concerned with is that they might fall into the pitfall of the 1984 film, because one critique from people that may either haven't read the book or are in our opinion kind of misinterpreting some things from it. One critique that people have made in the past about the book specifically is that it's just another white savior story, where it's this white man coming in to save the indigenous peoples and whatever else. And if you've only seen the 1984 film, you would be forgiven for thinking that that's what this is all about, because they made it that, and that's one of, honestly, we've talked about the internal monologue stuff in that film, and that's annoying, but honestly, that's one of the worst things about that film. Is subverting that, because the chosen one trope is done differently in this book, and one of we're not going into too many spoilers, but it's, Paul is afraid to be the chosen one, and not even like it's done in the Wheel of Time, but he's afraid. He's afraid, not just because he's some farm boy and he doesn't want to get involved and whatever else.
Young,
it's more, he sees these things and he's afraid that becoming the chosen one and becoming the Kwisatz Haderach, as we hear that phrase used early in the film, he's afraid this is going to be a bad thing, and he sees these things. He sees these visions that are not good, and we won't spoil about what happens and doesn't happen, whatever, just to keep the spoiler freeness. But it's actually more of a critique of the white savior, and that sometimes these religious crusades can turn into not good things. And so I was worried that they were going to break it, because it's Hollywood film. We want our hero, and all the kind of old Joseph Campbell, hero's journey stuff. We want that. Or we're used to seeing that. Star Wars and Marvel and things like that famously follow that script religiously. And so I was concerned about that. There's one scene in particular that shows it's some lines. I don't remember if the scene happens like it does in the book or not. I can't remember, but some of the lines for sure from this scene tell me that they are not going to do that. And he has some dreams. He does that early on. So
dreams and visions.
And there's this one sequence in particular, and he spouts some lines that I know are direct quotes from the book. And it tells me that they do get it, which I am so excited that they get that part. And hopefully that, because sometimes sequels can ruin things.
Hero.
But he is not only the reluctant hero, but that him being the hero may or may not even be a good thing. And so they are keeping some of those things, which is really, really great, because I was afraid that they were not going to do that, but I'm super excited that it seems like they are.
So, hope you enjoyed that look back at Dune, the film. If you've seen it, put some comments down below what your favorite parts are. Make sure to put spoiler warnings for those people that are just scrolling through.
Spoiler things.
If you haven't seen it, what are you looking forward to? What did you like most about?
What questions do you have about it?
Yeah. Let's discuss it in the comments. Definitely like, comment, subscribe, all the things. Well on our way to our goal of 500. Thank you guys so much. We're at like 3:20 something at this
Ish,
point.
yeah.
Or yeah. Anyway,
Yeah,
it's coming
we
along,
appreciate
and we're working hard. We're so thankful for you guys, and we enjoy it. So, thank you guys. Have a good evening, afternoon, morning,
All the times.
all the times.
Midnight. See you later.
Bye.